After making videos on obscure turn-based RPGs and obscure tactical RPGs, you guys knew this one was coming. Had to round out the trilogy, you know? Like those videos as well, we're gonna limit it to games that had an official US release. If you want to see the real obscure stuff that was Japan only, check out our series on RPGs that never left Japan. But that said, don't worry, we still got some pretty under-the-radar stuff today. We're gonna spread the love a bit as well with no more than one game per system. Alright, enough yapping here, let's just get to it. Here's an unranked list of 8 great, obscure action RPGs you probably haven't played.
The light is your guide.
A dream is what keeps you going.
Now is the time to shape your story. Your fate is in your hands.
And to start this list off, we have Dragon Valor. Dragon Valor was developed by the company, now production and released for the PS1. I gotta be honest, this isn't the best action RPG on the PS1, but it probably is the most obscure. Well, this is the Grand Stream Saga. I talked about that one more recently though, so here we are. I thought about including Alundra as well, which is an awesome game, but it is a little lighter on the action and more puzzle focused in comparison. Anyway, Dragon Valor though. This is actually the third and last entry in a series called Dragon Buster, none of which made it to America. Considering the original came out in 1984 and its sequel came out in 1989, as you can imagine, Dragon Valor plays quite a bit different. It plays sort of like a beat 'em up with RPG elements. Your moveset has a bit more depth than it might appear at first though. You can do stuff like backflips to evade attacks and flying kicks, and yeah, it doesn't feel that bad to control. You can also learn various magic spells throughout your journey. Between action sections, there's a shop and a world map as well. All this said, the gameplay is fine, however, the story is probably the best aspect, or rather, how it's told. The game spans multiple generations where you can play as your kids and even your kids' kids. There's multiple routes as well depending on who you choose to marry and have kids with. There's 3 different paths and 3 different endings. This is admittedly a really cool feature that more games should use. I mean, what other RPGs let you do this besides Dragon Quest V? This, combined with the gameplay, make for a pretty unique experience. It may not be much to look at these days, or hell, even back then, but hey, it's not a bad time. Oh, I'm adding this part in after the fact, but while it may not look like much, it does sound excellent. It's just a really rockin' soundtrack that just amps you up to go on a killing spree and defeat bad guys. Coming up next, we have Sudeki. Sudeki was developed by Climax Entertainment and came out for the Xbox. It can also be bought on Steam, which is probably the easiest way to play it. Sudeki is pretty unique in that there are 4 different characters you play as in 2 different playstyles. Tal and Buki play like your typical third-person action RPG, and Ailish and Elko kinda play like a first-person shooter. You can swap between characters whenever, so this adds some nice versatility to combat. Combat itself is pretty basic, but it gets the job done. Your melee characters have a variety of 3-hit combos they can do, and all characters have these things called skill strikes, which are like special attacks, and spirit strikes, which are like really strong summons. But that said, it still ends up being pretty repetitious, but what action RPG isn't? I think Sudeki has a pretty nice presentation. I'm a big fan of how vibrant the graphics are. I do also want to say the music here is quite excellent. Some tracks are just super relaxing. I mean seriously, between the music and the visuals, New Brightwater might be one of the coziest locations in all of gaming. The story in Sudeki is, well, it's just okay. I'm not gonna lie, without looking it up online, I couldn't tell you anything what it's about. I don't know, something about a light and dark world and other generic stuff you won't care about at all. This is not a game you play for the story. You play for the charm of the world and the simple, yet fun enough, shut off your brain and play gameplay. Oh, and maybe the character design, too. Yeah, they knew what they were doing. A 5 out of 5 on Maxim? Did they really put this on the cover? Good old Maxim, our #1 source for video game reviews. Sudeki may not be like this shining beacon in the action RPG genre, but it is a pretty fun and enjoyable experience that you can probably beat over a long weekend. Coming up next, we have Boktai, The Sun is in Your Hand. Boktai was released for the GBA and developed by Konami. The game was actually designed by Hideo Kojima himself. Some of you might be asking, can one of his games really be considered obscure? I think so. It's easily one of his most lesser-known titles. Is Duel not an obscure film just because Steven Spielberg directed it? I actually don't know, I had to Google that myself, but anyways, the point being is that Boktai is obscure enough. It's also incredibly unique. Video games have been a lot of things over the years, but they've never really been an outdoor activity. Hell, that's a large part of the appeal for a lot of people. Hideo Kojima saw that and was like, nah, screw that, I'm gonna make you nerds go outside. In Boktai, you play as a vampire hunter, and your gun is powered by solar energy. Real life solar energy. This means you actually have to go outside and be in the sun to play it. Well, you don't have to, it just makes it easier. There are in-game stations to recharge your solar energy at, but you'll have to avoid enemies until then. Stealth is a pretty big part of the game. Yeah, go figure, right? Puzzles are as well. There's also a day and night mechanic which factors in when vampires can appear. It's pretty cool. What's also pretty cool is the music. This has gotta be some of the highest quality sounding music on the GBA, period. I mean, it is Konami after all. Boktai did actually get a sequel, which is probably even more obscure than this one, but alas, I have not played it. The original is good though, and worth playing. Oh yeah, and if you don't want to worry about the whole sun mechanic, there is a patch you can download to get rid of it. Coming up next on our list, we have Folklore. Folklore was developed by the company Game Republic and came out for the PS3. It's not only an obscure action RPG, but it's probably one of the most obscure PS3 titles, period. It's like a murder mystery with Celtic and Irish mythology and Pokemon-inspired mechanics. Yeah, sounds pretty intriguing, right? The story has you playing as two protagonists, Ellen, a girl whose mom died 17 years ago, and Keats, a reporter for an occult magazine. They both have their own reasons and end up going to a remote Irish village named Doolin where they get caught up in a murder mystery. You have to play as both characters to beat the game, but you can play their chapters in any order. I'd probably recommend doing all of a character's chapters at once though, because otherwise it can feel a little repetitious doing the same areas back to back. The actual gameplay takes place in the Netherworld. This is where the Celtic mythology aspect comes into play. You battle against the souls of the dead, and after defeating them, you can capture them and fight with them in battle. You can then assign these folks, as the game calls them, to each of the 4 face buttons. They can be switched out mid-battle, too. There's over 100 folks in the game, so quite a lot of combinations here. You can also level them up, which is pretty cool. What's also cool is the setting and the atmosphere. In a generation where we were mainly getting a lot of boring brown and gray games, Folklore gave us an extremely colorful and vibrant title. The environments are also varied and unique. I mean, this game came out in 2007? Graphics are obviously better nowadays, but they really haven't improved that much in the last 20 years. Like compare Folklore to a game from this year. Now compare it to a game from 1989. Yeah, one difference is greater than the other. Anyway, tangent aside, the music in Folklore is also excellent. Really fits the atmospheric and eerie tone of the game. Last thing I'll say is the presentation is quite interesting. Occasionally, the game goes to these comic book panel style cutscenes and they're really cool. But yeah, Folklore I actually would call a hidden gem. It's not a masterpiece, but it's very unique and a pretty fun little title. With spooky season coming up soon, this is a great time to check it out. And to start off the second half of this list, we have The Twisted Tales of Spike McFang. The Twisted Tales of Spike McFang was released for the Super Nintendo and developed by the Red Company, the same team behind the Tengai Makyo series and the Sakura War series. While those two were long-running franchises though, Spike McFang was just an obscure one-off. I'm honestly surprised it even came out in the West. It's actually a sequel to a Japan-only PC Engine title. That one was a 2D platformer. This one, however, is more of a top-down, kind of Zelda-style action RPG. You play as a titular, vampire, magician-looking dude as you try to stop the evil Von Hessler from invading your parents' and your friend Camelia's kingdoms. It's a very lighthearted and humorous and quirky game and not to be taken seriously. The gameplay, on the other hand, you should take seriously, as it's one of those cases where they made the American version harder than the original Japanese version. In result, the American release is a bit more grindy. It is a short game, around 5 hours or so they probably wanted to pad out the length a little. Gameplay, it's pretty standard. You'll be swinging your cape around, throwing your little hat, getting these magic cards which grant abilities, and yeah, it's just simple and good fun. There's nothing you haven't seen before, but just with how charming the world is, it just makes for an enjoyable experience. It probably won't blow you away, but you will walk away with a smile on your face. I mean, with this feel-good and catchy music, how could you not? The next game we have on our list is The Last Story. The Last Story was developed by the company Mistwalker and came out for the Wii. For those that don't know, Mistwalker was a studio founded by the creator of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi. While they played a big hand in a lot of Mistwalker's titles, and a lot of later Square titles for that matter, this was actually the first game he directed since Final Fantasy V. It's also the last one he directed until Fantasian a few years ago. Now again, can a game by the Final Fantasy creator really be considered obscure? Well, it probably is the least obscure game on this list, but it's still pretty obscure. In The Last Story, you play as Zale, a member of a mercenary group and the one who bears the mystical Mark of the Outsider. You get caught up in a conflict to save this place Lazarus from this demi-human species called the Gurak, and yeah, it gets more complex from there, but that's the basic premise. It sounds simple, but it's told and presented in a way that keeps you engaged. A lot of cutscenes and voice acting for a Wii game.
I could never have witnessed a sight like this.
Seeing you smile like that makes me happier than anything.
However, the characters might be the best part. Being that they're a mercenary group, they're all like older and mature and banter off each other well and drink after missions and stuff, and yeah, it's just a pretty cool dynamic. Okay, well actually I take that back. As cool as they are, the music might actually be the best part. It was composed by none other than Final Fantasy series composer Nobuo Uematsu. Is it as good as his best works on Final Fantasy? I mean, I personally don't think so, but like, it still fits the game super well and stuff. As far as gameplay goes, it's well, what do you know, it's a action RPG. I kinda tried going for more of a tactical approach with giving commands to your teammates and stuff like that, but I don't know, it still kinda ended up feeling a little hack and slashy. I mean, it's still pretty fun, just not as deep as it wants to be, I think. Controls can feel a little clunky too, not gonna lie. I think it's pretty funny how Sakaguchi said he created this battle system because he felt his older ones were outdated and he wanted to create a new one that would keep up with the times. However, in retrospect, I think kind of the exact opposite happened. Little quick trip down memory lane, but who else remembers Operation Rainfall? This was an online fan campaign back in the day to get Nintendo to release this game, Xenoblade, and Pandora's Tower in the West. And it actually worked. Come to think of it, Pandora's Tower is probably the most obscure game out of these three. Maybe I should have talked about that one instead. Oh well, just a reason to in the future. I wouldn't say the last story is like a masterpiece on the level of the best Final Fantasies, but it is a pretty fun time. The next game we have on our list is Magna Carta 2. Magna Carta 2 was developed by Softmax and released for the Xbox 360. I was torn between either including this one or Infinite Undiscovery, but I think this one is a little bit more obscure. I mean, Softmax was a pretty small Korean studio, so yeah. This was actually a sequel to a PS2 title, which was also quite obscure. Oh, and I guess that one was also a sequel to a Korean-only PC title. So Magna Carta 2 is the third entry in the series? The story in Magna Carta 2 is fine. The main character has amnesia and has this hidden power to turn the tide in a war, and yeah, it's not the most original thing out there, but it's serviceable enough, I guess. There's a lot of heavy hitters in the voice acting department at least. It's like an all-star cast of late 90s and early 2000s dubs. I mean, you got Johnny Young Bosch, Yuri Lowenthal, Wendy Lee, Steve Bloom, Crispin Freeman, Laura Bailey. Yeah, the whole works is here. I think the presentation in general is pretty good. Graphics are vibrant and some tracks really stuck out to me. As far as gameplay goes, it's a lot more fast-paced than its predecessor. You build up this meter to pull off abilities, and you can switch between party members to pull off combo chain attacks, and yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. Just being able to switch characters in an action RPG is always nice. The playstyles vary as well, as you got ranged and melee. All in all, Magna Carta 2 may not be the most original game out there, but if you want a pretty simple, shonen anime type action RPG to play, you can certainly do a lot worse.
I can't back down! Stand against them together!
Princess! I'll take care of it.
And to finish off this list, we have Dual Hearts. Dual Hearts was released for the PS2 and developed by Matrix Software. If you're still upset about me not including Alundra, the same team behind that game made this one, so, you know, it kinda makes up for it, right? Well, it should, because Dual Hearts is like Alundra's light-hearted spiritual successor. The game actually kinda feels like Alundra meets 3D Zelda meets Persona meets Banjo-Kazooie? Alright, let me explain. You play as the Ruin Seeker Rumble and his magical creature companion Tumble as you travel into people's dreams in order to help them. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's just the concept of Alundra reimagined. Now, I brought up Persona earlier because the design of the dreams you're going into are directly influenced by whose dreams you're going into. Like, you go into a treasure hunter's dream? Well, her dream is designed around a lot of treasure. Go into a painter's dream and, well, there's a big painting aesthetic. The designs of the dreams in general are just really creative. I really like this one with the pop-up picture book aesthetic. This reminds me a lot of Persona 4 and 5, where dungeons are designed around certain characters. Now the 3D Zelda comparison comes into play due to the actual gameplay. Dreams have a big focus on both combat and puzzles. Throughout the game, you'll get various weapons and equipment that you can switch between whenever. Kinda like Zelda. I mean, come on, there's even a hook shot. Unlike Zelda though, you can level up these weapons, which increases their damage and can add more attacks. Now, the Banjo-Kazooie comparison comes from the platforming collectathon elements, and you know your little magical companion Tumble? You can use him for more movement options, just like Kazooie. So yeah, Dual Hearts is like equal part platformer and equal part action RPG. For fans of games like Mega Man Legends, Brave Prince of Musashi, Mystical Ninjas starring Goemon, hell, even Kingdom Hearts, this one will probably be up your alley. Like some of those games as well, there's a central hub town here, and it's quite cozy. I think the game just has incredibly charming presentation all around. This beach is like peak early PS2 vibes. I don't know what's cozier, this or the Sudeki Beach. By the way, I think either of these games would make for a pretty fun retrospective. If you want to vote on what topics we cover in videos like this, consider joining our Patreon. But yeah, anyway, to wrap things up with Dual Hearts. It's not a perfect game, it lacks some polish for sure, but what it lacks there, it makes up for it in charm. Alright, and that about wraps up this video. Thanks for watching everyone, we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please either consider hitting that like button or subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. What are some other obscure action RPGs we didn't talk about here? There were so many others I wanted to talk about, but you know, obviously couldn't. Let us know in the comments below. As always, just want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. And of course, an extra special shout out to our top patrons, Achieve, Chris Carnaccio, Derek Drost, Jam, Jesse Spencer, J-Ho, Joe Bro the Hobo, J Shaw Drums, Jump Rock, Cyano, and Spankwise. All of your generosity and support is very much appreciated. Other than that, thanks again for watching everyone, and hope you have an awesome day. This is Corbin from Gaming Productions. Until next time.